Well, if you're a landlord and you've been owning rental property for any period of time, you probably know that one of the biggest challenges in managing rental properties is dealing with maintenance. I'm Mark Cunningham at Grace Property Management. Let me share a couple tips for every landlord to know how to handle maintenance as it relates to your tenants. So number one is know the law. By know the law, I simply mean that the state of Colorado has multiple laws governing what you as a landlord must do as it relates to maintenance for your tenants. There's a laundry list of things. So there's a couple different laws. The biggest one, the most important one, is the warranty of habitability. So check that out because it gives you even specific timelines on how quickly you must respond to particular requests by your resident. So the clock starts ticking. When you get that notification that they have a warranty of habitability issue, the clock is ticking on how quickly you legally have to respond. It's a very complicated law, but you still have to know it. You still have to follow it. Number two, you want to give your tenants a 24/7 hotline contact number because water heaters only go out between 2 and 3 a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights. So when that goes out, how do they get a hold of you or a vendor? Who do they call? If they're just calling and leaving a message and you're not going to get it till the next day, that's not a good deal. That's going to damage your property. It's going to make your resident angry. So make sure you're providing to them someone to get a hold of 24/7 in those worst case scenarios if something breaks in the middle of the night. Number three, respond quickly. Did you know that national surveys show that the number one reason good tenants give for not renewing a lease, so their lease comes up for renewal, the number one reason they give for why they have decided to move is poor quality maintenance. They're so frustrated with whoever their landlord is doing a bad job on maintenance that they move. You don't want that to happen to you. So part of the way you keep that from happening is respond quickly to the maintenance request. Get somebody out there right away because the tenant needs that done for their own good and for the good of your property. Now, let me just divert real quickly onto home warranty. We get a lot of questions from owners. Hey, should I use a home warranty company? We really are hesitant to recommend that simply because home warranty companies, whether they're good or not, they're not prompt. They're typically not real fast. So on a repair that should be done quickly, because remember your tenant wants it done quickly, home warranty companies are using them for many, many years and talking to other people that have. At best, they're slow. So we do not recommend home warranty companies. If you want more information on that, on our video page at rentgrace.com, just type in home warranty companies. We've got a whole video where we talk about pros and cons of that. Number four, screen your vendors. When an issue does happen, you need to send a vendor out. Who should you send? How do you know who to send? Well, you want to screen your vendors on three specific criteria. Number one, quality of work. You want to make sure they're doing high quality work, not shoddy work, tip-top quality work. Number two is price. You want to make sure that you as a landlord are hopefully getting even better than market pricing. For example, we give our vendors a lot of work. So we typically get less than market pricing when we send a vendor out to a property. Why? Because we give our vendors a lot of work and so they give us lower than market pricing typically. That's a great thing. Number three, timeliness. They've got to be fast and prompt. Now it's going to be balancing these three things because the person that has the highest quality work may also have the highest prices and they may also be 3 weeks out because they're overbooked. So maybe that doesn't work. You need to balance these three things. You want someone that does very good quality work, very competitive pricing, and very fast to respond. Now this doesn't even take into consideration the fact that you want to make sure that vendor, when appropriate, is licensed, they're certified, they have whatever insurance they need in place before they do any work on your property. Number five, as it relates to your property, make sure you're inspecting regularly for preventative maintenance items. Even the best tenants aren't going to call you to report the fact that there may be a drip behind the shower or there may be a little bit of mold growing on the shower ceiling. Those types of things. They just don't see those types of things. So you want to make sure on a regular basis you're getting into your property, doing an inspection to look for things like preventative maintenance, changing out the furnace filter, changing the batteries in the smoke and CO detectors, looking for water type of issues. These are the things that initially they're small, so handle them when they're small. Don't let them become bigger issues. And number six, know when to repair versus replace. We just had to actually fire a property owner who was working with us. This property owner came on board with us and he was a great guy. He had a number of properties, but he told us this. He said, my philosophy on maintenance is I'm going to put a Band-Aid on everything. I want to spend the least amount of money possible and I want to Band-Aid everything as it breaks. And he'd been doing that. He'd been self-managing, and he owned these properties for, I think it was close to 20 years. So for 20 years, he'd been putting Band-Aids, and it had worked. Well, after 20 years, Band-Aids start to wear off. And so we were coming into these situations and saying, well, gosh, we do need to replace this stove. It's 20 years old, and 2 out of the 4 burners don't work. Now let's just Band-Aid that. We recommend that from a long-term standpoint, you need to know when to repair versus when to replace, because you can repair, but at some point, now you've dumped money and you've wasted money on those repairs when you could have just replaced it, and in the longer term perspective, save yourself money. Now, this is a balance. I understand that. There's certainly a time to repair instead of replacing, but there's also a time to replace instead of repair. That's where the wisdom comes in. Knowing what's going to be the better decision, knowing how long you're going to hold your property, but bring some discretion to that so that when the furnace person calls you and says, hey, this furnace is 15 years old and it'll be $500 to fix, it might last a few months, it might not, or it's going to be a couple grand to get it repaired, or replaced. That's where you have to use your wisdom, discernment to make sure you're making the wise decision. If you're a client of ours, we've already got these things handled for you as it takes care of maintenance. But make sure you're proactive with your tenants, providing good service maintenance. This will keep good tenants happy, keep them in place. It will cause them to stay longer, not move. You won't have turnover. It's a true win-win for everybody. If you have questions or we can be a resource, feel free to reach out to our office. Our website is rentgrace.com. We're happy to be a resource if we can.